Good morning, children. Today we will discuss about February Revolution and October Revolution of Russia. Let us start with February Revolution and the conditions that led to February Revolution. So February Revolution started in Petrograd. Petrograd was the capital of Russia, and there was a river called River Neva. On the right bank of the river, there were factories and the workers' quarters. On the left bank, there were fashionable quarters and the winter palace. Food shortage was felt in the right bank, in the workers' quarters. The problems were of the workers. Okay. On 22nd February, there was a lockout in a factory, and that was supported by other factory workers. Next day, means on 23rd, women also participated in the strike. That's why that day was observed as International Women's Day. Then government imposed curfew, but the strikers, the demonstrators continued to strike, do the strike. They continued the strike. On 24th and 25th strikes took place again. On 25th, the Tsar dismissed Duma. Duma was suspended. 26th, again the strike was there. On 27th, police headquarters were ransacked by the demonstrators. Then streets thronged with people who demanded bread, better wages, better hours of work, democracy. So streets were filled with people who were having these slogans. Then the king, the Tsar, called for the cavalry. The cavalry refused to fire on the demonstrators. By the evening, the total scene changed. Cavalry supported the workers, and the soldiers, means cavalry and the soldiers and the workers, met in the same building where Duma was meeting earlier, and they formed a Soviet, means council, and that came to be known as Petrograd Soviet. Okay. Then next day, on 28th, so a delegation was sent to the Tsar, and he was advised. Who was advised? The Tsar was advised to abdicate the throne, and on 2nd March, the Tsar gave up the throne and the provisional government was set up. Now, provisional government means a government made of the officers, the soldiers and the workers. So that was set up on 2nd March. So that was how February Revolution of France ended the rule of the Tsar, or that was end of monarchy. So February Revolution of 1917 saw end of monarchy in Russia. So Tsar abdicated the throne on 2nd March. With this, February Revolution ended and provisional government started. Next we will discuss what circumstances led to another revolution, that was October Revolution. After February Revolution, the provisional government was formed, and in the provisional government, who were holding influential positions? Army officials, landowners and industrialists. The liberals and socialists still wanted an elected government. In between, Lenin, who was exiled in 1914, he returned back to Russia in 1917. In the month of April, he came up with 3 demands which became famous as April thesis of Lenin. Now, what were the 3 demands of Lenin? He demanded 3 things. First was the war was to be brought to an end. It means Russia should end its participation in the First World War. Land should be given to the peasants, and banks were to be nationalized. These were the 3 demands of Lenin, which became popular as April thesis. In between, soldiers' committees and workers' movement also was in progress. Workers have started movement, soldiers' committees were formed, and all over Russia the influence of the Bolsheviks grew. So provisional government took stern measures against Bolsheviks, and some of the Bolsheviks leaders were forced to flee because they were forcefully arrested and given punishment. So in such a situation, the Bolsheviks thought of starting another revolution because the Bolsheviks had a fear that the provisional government may start dictatorship or rule in a dictatorship way. So it was Lenin who thought of a socialist seizure of power, and on 16th October 1917, Lenin persuaded for a socialist seizure of power, and a military revolutionary committee was formed on the same day under Leon Trotsky. Leon Trotsky was given the charge of the military revolutionary committee, and what was the main objective? That in future it was going to fight against the provisional government to establish a socialist state in Russia. On 24th October, when the Prime Minister of the Provisional Government, Kerensky, came to know about it, that the Bolsheviks have started a military revolutionary committee, anytime they may start, okay, so an attack. So he left the city, Petrograd, to summon troops. In between, two buildings of the Bolsheviks newspapers were seized, and the provisional government, okay, sent its troops to protect the government offices and Winter Palace, and military revolutionary committee responded to it, and it seized the government offices, government buildings, and ultimately by the nightfall, we are discussing the date 24th October, okay, the event of 24th October. By nightfall, Sikh Aurora sailed the Winter Palace. So that was how on 24th October, so the Winter Palace and Petrograd came under the control of the Bolsheviks, and within a month, that was by October में ये 24th को हुआ, एक और महीने के बाद by December, Moscow Petrograd region came under the Bolsheviks. So that was the end of the October Revolution. So you should remember, February Revolution was mainly responsible for abdication of the Tsar. Tsar gave up the throne. Or what changes were brought after October Revolution, that we will discuss. So what is the main objective of October Revolution? To end the provisional government. क्योंकि जार का रूल तो खत्म हुआ था फरवरी रिवॉल्यूशन में, बट प्रोविजनल गवर्नमेंट हैज स्टार्टेड रूलिंग इन अ डिक्टेटरशिप वे. सो दैट वाज 24th October. So when the October Revolution took place, by the nightfall when Winter Palace was sailed, so it means when the Bolsheviks controlled the Petrograd area, on the same day the Petrograd came under Bolsheviks. By December, the whole Moscow and Petrograd area came under Bolsheviks. So this is how October Revolution was responsible for end of provisional government, and February Revolution was responsible for end of the rule of the Tsar. So we have discussed both February and October Revolution, how they brought changes in the history of Russia. Thank you.